Greetings friends! My name is Daniel Mullikin and I'm excited to show you the bass. The most difficult thing about playing the bass is maneuvering it. It's huge. So we want to be careful we don't damage it, and we want to make sure that we have some good techniques on how to get it from one place to the next place. So we're going to start out with how to move the bass while it's in the case. At your house or in the classroom, your bass may be in a bass rack like this or laying on the ground like this. For both methods, we want to make sure that we hold the bass in 2 points. So first point, find a strap. If your case does not have a strap, we can go first to under the neck and then some secondary point. So I'm going to hold for my strap and the neck, and I'm going to tilt it up, let it rock on the back part of it, and then I'm going to pick it straight up and let it rest like this. Same thing if it's up against a bass rack. You want to hold it from 2 points again, the neck and the strap. Pick it straight up out of the rack and move it like this. Okay, now to get your bass across the room to your music stand. The best way to do that, we want to have the front of the case. You can tell the front of the case has a protrusion where the bridge is. The back of the case often is flat and has some sort of music bag or pouch. So you want to have the front of the case facing inward. So this works both left and right hand. So I'm going to do it with my right hand. The front of the case facing inward, so to my left, and I'm going to reach around with my right arm and grab this strap right here. I'm going to let the neck of the instrument rest against my neck. So with my neck here, with my hand on the strap, I'm going to just stand up, lean back, and I have the bass picked up. The side of the instrument is resting against my waist. This is a very useful way to carry the bass because you have one hand free. You can open doors, move chairs, move music stands, do what you gotta do. It also protects the bridge from getting bumped against walls or other things in the classroom or your home. If you don't feel comfortable lifting the case with one hand, you can use 2 hands. If your case has straps, pick it up from 2 straps, and again, straight up. If your case doesn't have straps, sometimes you can get under these little corners of the instrument and you can pick it straight up. You just want to make sure that you're comfortable. Once we've moved our bass, let's get the instrument out of the case. So a couple of things, I'm going to talk about a few parts of the case first. We have the neck of the instrument. It's this long skinny part at the top. We talked about the front earlier. That's the protrusion. We have the back of the case. On the side of your case, you probably have at least one zipper, and often they zip from the bottom up. And you can see at the very bottom of my case on the other side, I have a secondary zipper. Your case probably has this as well. Another really important thing on the front is that we have the bow pouch. First thing we do when we get our bass out of the case is remove the bow. A lot of times there's Velcro. We reach in and grab the bow out, pull it straight up, and we want to put it someplace safe. For today's lesson, we won't be using the bow, but anytime you get your instrument out of the case, remove the bow. This will help us not damage the bow when we take the case off of the instrument and put it someplace for storage. Now that we have the bow safely out of the case, I'm going to lay my instrument down on the floor on its side so I can get it out of the case. So I'm going to hold it from the strap and the neck, and I'm going to let the instrument roll on its back end and go slowly. You don't want to make any thuds. Go slowly, nicely on its side, resting like this. First step, we're going to unzip the long zipper. So I go at the bottom, unzip all of the way. If you don't unzip your zipper all the way, you could cause it to damage when you open the case. So I got the first zipper open. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and I'm going to unzip the secondary zipper. It's a much shorter zipper, but I can zip it again all the way. At this point, we can peel the case off of our instrument. There it is. Once the case is open, I'm going to put my hand here and here on the neck, and I'm going to pull the instrument out of the case like this and then bring it to a standing position. Now that we have the instrument out of the case, we're going to talk about the parts of the instrument. I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. At the very top we have the scroll, this whole business here. It looks called the scroll because it looks like a rolled up piece of paper. On the scroll we have the tuning keys. Now these are different than the violin and viola pegs that work with friction. Ours work with mechanical gears. Next we have the fingerboard, this big piece of black wood here. This is where our fingers go to play different notes. At the top of the fingerboard, you have what's called the nut. And if you look really closely, it's a little bit higher than the fingerboard. The strings roll over it so they don't touch the fingerboard when they vibrate. This part right here is called the neck. At the bottom of the neck, we have what's called the heel. Extending over the fingerboard are the strings. You have 4 of them. This part right here, we call these the shoulders or the upper bouts. Very important part here is called the C bout. Our bow passes through those cutouts. We have the lower bouts, which are these lower curves. On the face of the instrument, this big part right here, we have cutouts called F-holes, and that's where the sound comes out of. We also have sitting on the top of the instrument a bridge. And the bridge is just where the strings go over. It's the sort of the end of the string length that vibrates. Now the bridge is held down just by tension of the strings pushing, so it can move. It's really important at this point that you know never to hold the instrument by its bridge or in the F-holes, and these are very fragile points. Below the bridge, we have what's called the tailpiece. Now my tailpiece is a little bit different than yours is probably. My tailpiece is a cable tailpiece. Your tailpiece might be a big piece of wood like that. They function exactly the same. They just tie the strings to the end of our instrument. The last part I want to mention is the end pin. The end pin extends out like this and also contracts like this. On the end pin, we have what's called the end pin screw, and that tightens and loosens. When you take your instrument out of the case, the end pin screw should be tight. What we're going to do is turn it just 90 degrees. You don't need to turn it any more than that. Pull it out to your desired length and then tighten it back. Give it a good turn. Now that we know the parts of our instrument, we're going to learn how to carry or move the instrument when it's out of the case. This is exactly the same way you did when it was in the case. What you're going to do is have the strings lay against your neck. I'm going to do this on my left side. Strings against my neck. I'm reaching my arm over and grabbing the C-bout, the top of the C-bout. Then I just stand up and lift the instrument off of the ground. Again, what's really great about this way is that you have a free hand to move things and maneuver. Just like when the instrument is in the case, if you don't feel comfortable or can't reach the C-bout, you can use two hands. So stand behind the instrument, with both hands grab the C-bouts and just pick straight up. So at this point, let's learn how to adjust our end pin to the correct length for you. The end goal is to have the nut somewhere between your eyebrows and your hairline, somewhere in this area. So right now, as you can see, the nut is sort of at my chin. So let's go ahead and lay the instrument down, and I'm going to extend my end pin about 4 inches or so. So with my left hand on the heel and my right hand on the C-bout, I'm going to bring the instrument up off the ground, move it in front of me, lightly place the lower bout on the ground, and let it rock down to the floor slowly so we don't make any sounds. Let's make our way down to the end pin. We're going to loosen our tensioning screw about 90 degrees, and I'm going to extend my end pin a few inches. Tighten that end pin up really, really snugly. To bring the instrument back up to playing position, I have my left hand on the heel, my right hand on the C-bout, and I'm just going to rock it back on that lower bout till I get to about right here. Pick it straight up and let the instrument rest on the end pin. And as you can see now, I have the nut in a very optimal position. So the last thing we're going to learn in this video is how to put our instrument away, back in its case and back in its resting place. We sort of just do this in reverse. Left hand on the heel, right hand on the C-bout, pick it straight up, turn it sideways, put it in front of you, let the lower bout rest on the ground, let it rock down, coming down to the end pin, loosening the tensioning screw, putting the end pin back into the body here, shortening it, tightening that tensioning screw, left hand on the heel, right hand on the C-bout, bringing it back up to a standing position. And from here, we can move our instrument to where our case is, or move your case to you. So now that our instrument is near our case, we're going to put the case on the instrument. So I think about this sort of like the way we put on a t-shirt. We're going to go head first. So the scroll goes into the case, and I'm making sure that the front of my case is facing the same way as my instrument. Again, you can see that there's a protrusion, and usually our bow pouch is on the front, which is different from the back of the case, which is flat and often has that music pouch. So scroll goes into the case like this, and then we just have to open up the zippers and let it sort of fall into place. I always have a hand on the instrument, so holding at the neck, the C-bout, or the heel. So now with a free hand, start the zipper, the long zipper. I'm going to zip it to about right here. At this point, you can bring one of your hands outside of the case to hold the neck of the instrument, and then continue zipping all the way as far as you can reach. At this point, what you want to do is bring the instrument to the ground. Hand on the handle and on the neck. Again, going very, very slowly so you don't make any big sounds. Finish your zip, and then go to the secondary zipper and zip that all the way up. Now your instrument's back in the case. Once you have your instrument back in the case, we want to return the bow to the bow bag. Holding from this part of the bow, not touching the hair of the bow, we're going to open our bow bag and put the bow in tip first. Go in there and then secure it. Join me in the next video where we're going to learn how to hold our instrument, our standing and sitting posture, as well as how to play the open strings.